What we heard this week is that businesses have still not adapted to the impact of Brexit, and the government must strengthen relations with the EU to relieve the strain on firms. That's what the UK's top businesses body has told the government now. In a letter to the Chancellor Jeremy Hunt ahead of his budget on the March 6th, the British Chamber of Commerce said that the Windsor framework and the UK's readmission to the EU's Horizon programme showed the UK and EU can work out compromises, and ministers should now look to ease the trading burden on companies. With these improved UK-EU relations, closer cooperation should be possible through the partnership bodies with the EU to look at how the TCA is working in practice and can be improved. That's what the BCC's Director General Siobhan Haviland wrote. Haviland said that businesses had still not adapted to trade barriers erected by Brexit and were struggling under current trading rules. We obviously knew it was going to be difficult at the beginning of a whole new set of rules, Haviland said. But we thought that businesses, once they'd implemented those, would sort of get used to it. But actually, that hasn't happened, she said. According to the BCC's most recent trade survey in 2023, some 77% of UK firms felt the post-Brexit Trade and Cooperation Agreement, the TCA, was not contributing to their business growth. And 56% said they had trouble in making the new trading arrangements work for their sales and export strategies. It is crucial that we start making some of this easier for business, Haviland said. We want to see a bit more political will to make some changes, practical, realistic changes that will help smooth that transition, she said. The call for stronger ties with the EU came amid a host of asks to Chancellor ahead of his March budget, including business rates reform and a review of the VAT tax threshold, which the BCC warned was choking off growth. And the BCC's budget asks include the government should match industry-led funding of £3 million for planning qualifications to help plug the lack of local resources. And ministers should commit to fund business-led local skills improvement plans beyond the current 2025 cutoff point to at least 2028. And the VAT registration review should be restarted with a view to removing the existing cliff edge. And the Chancellor should introduce a new internationally competitive tax-free shopping scheme. And the government should reform business rates to make it a tax that incentivizes growth. Well, the TCA was a free trade agreement penned by the European Commission and UK government after Brexit and came into force from January 1st, 2021. And the treaty is set to be reviewed in 26, but not completely renegotiated. However, the BCC's fresh calls come ahead of a slew of expected changes in April that could inflict yet more friction on companies trading with the EU. The first phase of the UK's so-called Border Target Operating Model began on January 31st, with imports of plant and animal products from the EU now requiring certain health certificates. However, the BCC has fired a warning shot to government over a new set of rules around physical checks on imports set to come in from April. Of more concern is a lack of clarity around physical checks of consignments due to start in April and the cost of new charges for overseas imports to help pay for the system, is what the BCC warned in January. The 2016 vote to leave the European Union sent shockwaves through the UK and beyond. While proponents envisioned a brighter future of self-determination and economic prosperity, the years since Brexit have painted a more complex picture, revealing a multitude of negative consequences for the UK. One of the most immediate and tangible impacts has been on the UK economy. Trade with the EU, the UK's largest trading partner, has declined significantly, leading to disruptions in supply chains and higher costs for businesses. And this, coupled with increased bureaucracy and regulatory burdens, has hampered economic growth and investment. The cost of living crisis has also been partly attributed to Brexit-related factors, putting a strain on household finances. The UK's departure from the EU has also weakened its position on the global stage. Its influence in international negotiations and trade agreements has diminished, and its ability to shape European policies has vanished. And this has implications for the UK's diplomatic and economic standing in the world. Brexit has also further deepened existing social divisions within the UK. The referendum itself exposed a deep societal rift, and the subsequent political battles have exacerbated these tensions. Concerns about the rights and status of EU citizens residing in the UK have also added to the sense of unease and uncertainty. The long-term consequences of Brexit remain unclear. The Northern Ireland Protocol, designed to prevent a hard border on the island of Ireland, continues to be a source of friction between at least the EU and the DUP. And the full impact on various sectors of the UK economy and society is still unfolding, making it difficult to predict the future trajectory. While some argue that Brexit presents opportunities for the UK to forge new trade deals and chart its own course, these potential benefits remain largely unrealized. And the challenges of negotiating new agreements, adapting to new regulations, and navigating a complex post-Brexit landscape have overshadowed any immediate gains. In conclusion, the negative consequences of Brexit for the UK are undeniable. From economic strain and diminished global influence to social disunity and an uncertain future, the decision to leave the EU has cast a long shadow over the nation. As the UK grapples with the ongoing challenges and seeks to define its place in the world, the true cost of Brexit will continue to be debated and felt for years to come. And there are several possible choices the UK could pursue to get closer relations with the EU again, each with varying degrees of complexity and political feasibility. First, it would be deepening the Trade and Cooperation Agreement, the TCA. This is the most immediate and achievable option. Both sides could explore potential amendments to the TCA, addressing specific issues like trade barriers, regulatory divergence, and fisheries, of course. This could involve increased cooperation on specific sectors like security, science, and climate change. And secondly, they are seeking association with specific EU programs. The UK could seek to participate in specific EU programs like they already do with the Horizon program for research and innovation, or Erasmus Plus again for education exchange. But this would require negotiation and agreement on financial contributions and adherence to relevant EU rules. But they also could seek single market membership in specific sector, and this option involves aligning UK regulations with specific EU sectors like pharmaceuticals or financial services, essentially creating a level playing field for trade, but only if the EU agrees. And do they need this? But this would require significant regulatory changes in the UK and ongoing coordination with the EU. Of course, there would be the chance to join the European Economic Area. This would involve adopting most EU law and participating in the single market, but without full participation in political decision-making. This option is complex and politically contentious, as it would require significant concessions from both sides, which I don't see. And then, of course, there's always full EU membership. But this is the most drastic option and currently faces significant opposition in both the UK and the EU. Because it would require a new referendum in the UK and lengthy negotiations with the EU, potentially taking years to complete. It's important to note that each option has its own advantages and disadvantages, and the most suitable approach will depend on various factors. For example, both the UK government and the EU member states need to be willing to engage in closer cooperation, which I don't see everywhere. And public support for any closer relationship needs to be gauged in both the UK and the EU. And different options involve varying degrees of complexity in negotiation and implementation. And the current political landscape in the UK and the EU makes it difficult to predict which option, if any, will be pursued in the near future. However, ongoing dialogue and cooperation on specific issues could pave the way for a gradual process of building closer relations over time. And if you want to know more, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.